The Bush family is an American family that is prominent in politics and business. Along with many members who have been successful bankers and businessmen, across generations the family includes one U.S. Senator, 2 governors and 2 presidents. George Herbert Walker Bush and Barbara Pierce Bush have been married for 70 years, holding the record for the longest married presidential couple. Peter Schweizer, author of a biography of the family, has described the Bushes as the most successful political dynasty in American history. According to some online sources, the Bush family is of primarily English and German descent. Relations: James Smith Bush, father of Samuel P. Bush, Samuel Prescott Bush, father of Prescott Bush and son of James Smith Bush. Flora Sheldon, the wife of Samuel P. Bush, married June 20, 1894 and mother to Prescott Bush. Prescott Sheldon Bush, Samuel P. Bush's son, served as a U.S. Senator from Connecticut. Dorothy W. Walker Bush, the wife of Prescott, was the daughter of George Herbert Walker of the well-connected Walker family of bankers and businessmen. Prescott Sheldon Plessy Bush, Jr., Prescott Bush's eldest son, served as chairman of the United States China Chamber of Commerce. George Herbert Walker Bush, Prescott Bush Sr.'s second son, was the 41st President of the United States, Vice President of the United States under Ronald Reagan, a congressman from Houston, and Central Intelligence Agency Director, and also held other political and diplomatic posts. Before his political career he was in the oil business in Texas. Married to Barbara Pierce Bush, the daughter of publisher Marvin Pierce, cousin of 14th U.S. President Franklin Pierce, First Lady of the U.S. and Second Lady of the U.S. during her husband's terms. George Walker Bush, George H. W. Bush's eldest son, was the 43rd President of the United States and was the 46th Governor of Texas. Laura Lane Welch Bush, the wife of George West, was the First Lady and a former teacher. Barbara Pierce Bush, twin sister of Jenna and daughter of George and Laura Bush, Jenna Welch Bush Hager, daughter of George and Laura and twin sister of Barbara, Today correspondent. Married to Henry Chase Hager. Margaret Laura Myler Hager, daughter of Jenna Bush Hager. Poppy Louise Hager, daughter of Jenna Bush Hager. Pauline Robinson Robin Bush, George H. W. Bush's second child and first daughter, died of leukemia in 1953. John Ellis Jeb Bush, George H. W. Bush's second son, was the 43rd Governor of Florida and 2016 presidential candidate. Married to Columba Garnica Gallo. George Prescott Bush, son of Jeb Bush, elected Commissioner of the Texas General Land Office in 2014. Married to the former Amanda Williams. Noelle Lucilla Bush, daughter of Jeb Bush, John Ellis Jebby Bush, Jr., son of Jeb Bush, is attending the University of Texas. Neil Mallon Bush, third son of George H. W. Bush and brother of President George W. Bush, is a businessman. Currently married to Maria Bush. Previously married to Sharon Smith, divorce in April 2003. Lauren Pierce Bush Lauren, model for Tommy Hilfiger, daughter of Neil Bush and Sharon Smith, married to David Lauren. Ashley Bush, daughter of Neil Bush and Sharon Smith, Pierce M. Bush son of Neil Bush and Sharon Smith. Marvin Pierce Bush, a venture capitalist, fourth son of George H. W. Bush, and brother of George W. Bush. Married to Margaret Conway, they have 2 children, adopted, a daughter, Marshall, and a son, Walker. Dorothy Walker Bush Koch, second daughter of George H. W. Bush and sister of President George W. Bush. Married to Bobby Koch, wine lobbyist. Children are Sam and Ellie LeBlond, Robert and G. Koch. Nancy Walker Bush Ellis, Prescott Bush Sr.'s third child, and the only daughter. John Prescott Ellis, son of Nancy Bush Ellis, media consultant. Jonathan James Bush, Prescott Bush Sr.'s fourth child, banker. Jonathan S. Bush, son of Jonathan Bush, CEO of Athena Health, a healthcare IT company. William Hal Billy Bush, son of Jonathan Bush, Access Hollywood host. William Henry Trotter Bucky Bush, Prescott Bush Sr.'s fifth child, banker and executive. Ancestors Patrilineal line, John Bush, the last Old World ancestor, Samuel Bush, Richard Bush. Timothy Bush may have been the son of Richard Bush. Timothy Bush, Jr. was the son of Timothy Bush. Obadiah Newcomb Bush was the son of blacksmith Timothy Bush, Jr. and Lydia Newcomb, and was born in Penfield, New York on January 28, 1797. He left home during the War of 1812 and married Harriet Smith, the daughter of Dr. Sanford Smith and his wife Priscilla Whippo Smith, in Rochester, New York on November 8, 1821. He and his wife had 7 children. Through his son Reverend James Smith Bush, he is the great-great-grandfather of former President George Herbert Walker Bush and the great-great-great-grandfather of former President George W. Bush. In Rochester, Obadiah was employed as a schoolmaster and was also a well-known abolitionist. He served as vice president of the Anti-Slavery Society and was on a committee to nominate candidates for Justice of the Peace. His brother Henry, a manufacturer of stoves, was also well known for his involvement in abolitionist activities. He was a participant in the Underground Railroad, and even petitioned the New York State Legislature to secede from the Union in a protest against slavery. The Rochester Daily Advertiser accused him of encouraging anarchy. Eventually Obadiah, Henry and possibly another brother or two went off to find their fortunes in the California gold rush of 1849. 2 years later, he tried to return home to reclaim his family and take them west. He died in the attempt, though, and was buried at sea, leaving his wife and 7 children alone in Rochester, New York. James Smith Bush, an Episcopal priest in New Jersey, California, and New York, was the son of Obadiah Bush and the father of Samuel Prescott Bush. The first Bush to earn a degree from Yale University, he supported the founding of the Third Society at Yale, now known as Wolf's Head Society. Other notable relatives: George Bush was a biblical scholar who wrote the book Life of Muhammad, and a first cousin of Obadiah Newcomb Bush. Colonel Robert Bowling Sr. was an early American settler whose son, Robert Bowling Jr., was a Bush family ancestor. Bowling Sr. later had children with Jane Rolfe, the granddaughter of Pocahontas. Wild Bill Hickok was a second cousin 3 times removed of Prescott Bush. Governor Thomas Hinckley was a Plymouth Colony governor, and a 7th-generation great-grandfather of Prescott Bush, so therefore a direct ancestor of all of his descendants including his son George H. W. Bush and grandson George W. Bush. Mary Parker was executed by hanging in 1692 for witchcraft in the Salem witch trials. Through John May and his wife Prudence Bridge, the family is related to U.S. Attorney General Charles Bonaparte, U.S. Vice President Charles Gates Dawes, actress Blanche O'Neal Ricks, and author Louisa May Alcott. Connections to other prominent families. Walker family: George Herbert Burt Walker was a wealthy American banker and businessman. His daughter Dorothy married Prescott Bush, making him the grandfather of the 41st President George H. W. Bush and the great-grandfather of the 43rd President George W. Bush. He is also the namesake of the Walker Cup, a men's amateur golf trophy contested in odd-numbered years between a U.S. team and a combined Great Britain and Ireland side. Livingston family: the Livingston family, a prominent family which migrated from Scotland to New York in the 17th century, whose descendants include signers of the United States Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution, lords of Livingston Manor and Claremont Manor, located along the Hudson River in 18th-century eastern New York, First Lady of the United States Eleanor Roosevelt, Congressman Bob Livingston of Louisiana, much of the wealthy Astor family, New York Governor Hamilton Fish, and actors Montgomery Clift, and Jane Wyatt. Flora Sheldon, wife of Samuel P. Bush, was a Livingston. Schuyler family: the Schuyler family, a prominent family which migrated from the Netherlands to New York in the 17th century around Albany, NY. Descendants include much of the Livingston family: General Philip Schuyler during the American Revolution, corn planter, a Seneca chief who fought on the side of the British during the American Revolution, David Matthews, mayor of New York City during British occupation, Major General Schuyler Hamilton, a grandson of Alexander Hamilton, and members of the political Keene family which includes Thomas Keene and Thomas Keene Jr. Family tree. Sources: see also List of U.S. political families of the world. Notes. References. Victory restores Bush dynasty to Washington from CNN, The Bush Dynasty Parties on from the St. Petersburg Times. Further reading, American Dynasty, Aristocracy, Fortune, and the Politics of Deceit in the House of Bush, Kevin Phillips. ISBN 0-670-03264-6, The Bushes, Portrait of a Dynasty, Peter Schweizer.